Hello everyone, welcome to you all who are watching my channel Commerce with Vikas sir. I hope you are enjoying my videos. Today I will be starting a new chapter, Theory of Production. So let's get started with the concept of production. See, as far as production is concerned, it simply means transforming one form of resources into another form. That is, when you are converting raw materials, that is one form of resource, in another form, that is a finished product, that is also a resource. This is simply a production. So it has also been defined as the creation of utility through exchange. Okay, so there are traditional definition of production as well as the modern definition of production. So production simply means producing various goods and services which are consumed by the people all over the world. So now let's move to the basic concept of production function. See, definitely in order to produce something, we need the raw materials which are known as inputs. We need labor, we need capital. These all are called factor inputs. Okay, and after transferring that factors of production, we'll get the output which is called the finished products. So there is some definite relation between the inputs and the outputs. Different inputs may be involved in producing a particular output. So there must exist some relation between the quantities of inputs involved and the output produced by using that inputs, and that is what is called production function. So production function is a technical or mathematical relation between physical inputs and physical outputs. That is, it is a relation between the factors of production and the final products that is obtained by using that factor input. So it is basically a technical relationship between inputs and outputs. If we use 5 kg of inputs, how many or how much outputs we can produce, that is what is depicted by production function. So if we try to represent it symbolically or mathematically, then we can write Q is equal to function of x1 and x2, that small f denotes the function of x1 and x2. It means output is the function of two inputs, that is x1 and x2. x1 is one factor of production and x2 is other factor of production. We may even write as Q is equal to function of L and K. L represents labor and K represents capital. Okay, we can use different notations. So here x1 and x2 are the two inputs which are used in the production process. Okay, so let's see. Q represents the amount of output produced, and x1 and x2 represents factors of production used in the process of production. That is, x1 and x2 are the two inputs. So instead of x1 and x2, we can write L, which stands for labor, and K, which stands for capital. So if we write that, then our production function will take the form Q is equal to function of L and K, where Q is equal to the amount of output produced, L represents the units of labor, and K represents the units of capital. So again, if you want to elaborate this, then more specifically, you can see here, I think it is visible in the screen. Production function can be defined as the technological relationship that tells the maximum amount of output then can be produced from given combination of inputs and technology. That is important. That is, how much outputs or how many units of output can be produced by using a particular level of inputs and the given technology is known as the production function. So it is a mathematical or technical relationship between inputs and outputs. It helps in deciding how much inputs or how many inputs should be used if you want to produce the required amount of output. Definitely, when you produce something which produce on the basis of demand, so if the demand for product X is 5000 kg. So we have to calculate how many kgs of inputs in the form of raw material, labor and so on are required in order to produce 5000 kgs of output X. So that is depicted or presented or represented through a technical or mathematical relation, which is ultimately known as production function. So let's elaborate this with the help of an example. See here. See, let's suppose the firm is producing a steel chair with the help of two inputs. So one is capital K and labor L. Suppose there is a firm producing steel chair and it is using two inputs. That is, one is the labor and other is the capital K and labor L. It can produce 20 chairs by using 10 units of capital and 2 units of labor. So we can say that in order to produce 20 units of steel chair, we need 10 units of capital and 5 units of labor. Okay. So if you want to produce 20 chair, then definitely it will double. It will require 20 units of capital and 10 units of labor. So if you represent one function relation, then it is easy to calculate the required inputs to produce the required outputs. Okay, so again I'm explaining you, a firm is manufacturing steel chair with the help of two inputs, capital K and labor L. It can produce 20 chairs by using 10 units of capital and 5 units of labor. Then the relation between physical inputs is 10 units of capital plus 5 units of labor, and a physical output is 20 units of chair, is called a production function. That is 10 L plus 20K can 5L and 10K can produce 20 units of chair. So this is what is called production function. So in summary, production function is simply the relation between the inputs and outputs. Inputs means the raw material, labor, whatever required to produce something, and output means the finished products by using that raw materials and other inputs. So this much for today. I will come with other video. So this is the first, I refer it as this is the first episode on my production function. So likewise, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4 I will be uploading. Please follow my episode thoroughly. Okay, this is my first episode on production function. So I'll come forward with the second episode again relating to production function.